ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another One Piece manga review. This is chapter 1132. This is The Adventures in Elbaph. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Lyn and Versen, joined by your other host, Mr. Versen, the Vassal. Versen, brother, we're back. It's time. One Piece is off of break, and we're back. It feels good to be back.
Yeah, I mean, Oda came by my house. I gave him some of this good mac and cheese from Thanksgiving, and
dude got away from South Africa. That's what that shit was. Yeah. Did you see the meme where they say Oda? People were saying Oda was sick. I don't think Oda was sick. They said that a meme where they said Oda was in South Africa going hanya hanya huh. And the meme with the fucking Afro beats thing, that shit was hilarious. It's the white guy dancing to the Afro beats, and bro, hell yeah, Oda 100% can enjoy himself. He is beyond earned the right, and you know what that means? That makes sure that the One Piece live action is actually good.
Yeah, especially with such a consequential arc coming up and everything, all leading up to Alabasta. They had a good, obviously I think a lot of people fucked with season one. But it isn't until after we get past Traverse Mountain that you really start getting into what
the weirdness
is.
Yeah. We're going to see the Giants. And speaking, I know we're going to talk about Elbaph and the Giants in this, but we're going to see Dorian Broggy. We're going to see Chopper. We're going to see the first weird fucking fruit, which is look at Wapples. We're going to see the Logia, which is Smoker and Crocodile. I'm trying to think of some other weird shit that we see.
Well, we're obviously gonna get to meet Robin, and that's gonna be such a big deal. Like her, her and Chopper, it's gonna be a thing where we want to make sure that we land everyone after the East Blue Five, because East Blue Five are solid. You understand whether they're or whatever, but I think people, and granted, obviously it'll be hard for people to justify not having seen at least a little bit of One Piece if they're also watching live action. But this will let people know, oh no, that's not where the crew begins and ends. We will be picking up some people. The family's gonna grow, So
you're absolutely right. From a characterization standpoint, they have to nail those. Also, for me, I'm thinking on Versen the practicality of this. We saw how the Fishman looked, and Arlong. Some people thought he looked good, some people didn't. I thought some of the Fishmen looked good, I'm trying to think. The octopus one, Hachi. I thought Hachi looked good, but I didn't really fuck with Arlong, and I definitely didn't fuck with the guy that Sanji fought. But I thought Buggy and his power.
All right.
I thought Buggy and his power looked good. I thought Captain Kuro looked good. I thought some of the weird shit they nailed. Luffy's power, I would say, has been the best I've seen of stretching abilities in all of media. So let me give them kudos to that. But now we're getting to the super weird shit. Giants, Chopper, Wapol, the fucking guy, the little Afro guy, Gaimon, the stretchy fucking island, all of the weird shit that makes One Piece. If they don't nail the CGI and the effects of this, it's over, bro. This is the season they gotta nail.
One thing that I really want to see, and granted this little thing, but for all people meme about how, I don't like all people. For people I know who meme that I hate Zoro or whatever, I really want to see how they nail his character specifically on Little Garden. Because Little Garden Zoro is some of the last we see him being just straight up a goofy motherfucker,
Oh, you don't think he was in Skypiea? I thought when he was,
I mean, a little bit of that too, but you really don't get that anymore post Water 7.
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's fair.
Little blips, but my point is
past Kuma fight is done.
Yeah, the reason why I bring up, Little Garden though is because that's whenever I think he's at his most kind of ridiculous. Yes, the Tarzan moment's also very funny. But my point being though is that they didn't give a lot of that to Zoro in the first season. I'm really hoping that McKinney will be allowed to be also kind of funny with it instead of just being
serious Zoro,
the cold, cool guy, because that is definitely, I think, post time skip Zoro, outside of a few scenes in there. And I think that becomes a joke later on where it's he's all serious in a world that's very
goofy.
But we're not there yet. You haven't earned that yet,
That's fair. That is fair.
And now that the crew is fully together in a full crew, I really want to see how they polish it and work out those crew dynamics.
And I want more Sanji fights, because we didn't get a lot of that. And even the Todd Skyler, the actor, was I want to do the concussor, or I want to do the spinning kicks, all of this stuff, because he didn't get to do it. They kind of shoehorned, like, out of all of the characters, I think Sanji was the one who got shafted the most, I would say, even though people would say he had his Baratier episode and all of this. Bro, he was only in like 2 episodes. Like,
yeah, like Baratier kind of got invaded by Fishman Island, which
which I understand
like,
why they did it too, you know?
Yeah, like it made a lot of cohesive sense. At the same time, though, I think it's also one of those things where it's like, if they hadn't just focused so much on the Kobe and the Marine side of things, that would have given everyone a little more juice. Which, don't get me wrong, I like the Kobe stuff. I think it's great.
And I understand why they had
for
to
later.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm also curious, like, what are we going to be doing with the plots the next season?
I feel
like I don't think you have to do a ton. If anything, they might cut to Alabasta for B plot just to like get the arc ready. You know, because we're not going to be actually touching foot on Alabasta proper this season.
My guess is the B plot, because see, I understand why they had to do it. They had to introduce the Marine aspect, show what another side, and that way you don't meet Luffy's grandpa all the way at the end, and people are like, what the fuck? In like season 7, I understand why they did it. The Marine aspect, I think, will still be the B plot, but think about it, Versen. We got Smoker. I think we're going to be following Smoker a lot this season. And you know how Smoker follows him to Alabasta. I feel like if not B plot, he will definitely be C plot. Because to your point, B plot could be B plot 100% could be Baroque Works, and they could do like a gangster style season where we see like Baroque Works doing shit from the shadows and doing all kind of other shit.
Especially like they have Joe DiMaggio. Like if you got him, use him. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, I think it would help build.
Joe Manganiello's that guy, like 100%.
Especially like you know, with how good he is, you know, like in a lot of his roles, but also we know Crocodile, much like Garp, will become very relevant later. You know, with cross-skilled shit, and also with you know, with you know, the breaking out of Impel Down and everything.
Yeah, the Marineford war, Paramount War.
Yeah. Like, it would maybe even help the story a little bit to give Crocodile a little more juice.
Extra juice? I'm not mad at that.
You know, just so that way
they gave Mihawk extra juice, and they gave Arlong extra juice. So I am not mad at Crocodile getting like a couple more episodes than he did in the manga. But that's why,
especially as our arc-defining villain, for the first big arc,
you know? And that's why Oda was there, and we had a break. I know we spent a little longer than y'all probably thought we would have, but that was fun. Me and Versen haven't done a video in a while, and we got to talk some One Piece live action. So if you're a true One Piece fan, you don't mind that. But if you're here for just the review, I apologize. Now we're going to get to it. If you're new, the way we do this is... Oh, what's up, brother?
Let's do this. Maybe we'll put a time code in the description.
Yeah. I let it know where it starts. I got you. Yeah. But so the way we do this, we do a brief summary of the chapter, and then we go in and discuss the chapter in depth. So this chapter begins with, we see Yamato and Speed and Tama pulling up to the Udon, or the Udon prison, where it's now a castle being rebuilt. We'll talk about that because I am very interested still in the cover story. But it starts off with the little boy giant who's chilling with Shanks. He sees that Dorian Broggy's ship is pulled up. He's like, yo, y'all come drink at the pub. They're like, nah, we gotta go meet up with Straw Hat Luffy, blah, blah, blah. And the little kid's like, whoa, you're with Straw Hat Luffy. Shanks told me to watch out for him. All right, bet. We also see Hyrodine. Hyrodine's pulling up, and everybody's riding on the rainbow to get to basically the level of Elbaph that they're at. We will discuss the levels when we do the breakdown, but they're riding on the rainbow, basically doing the classic Norse mythology thing, which is very cool. We then cut to Luffy, where Luffy is matched up with the I think that's Gerd and Goldberg. He linked up with those people, part of Hyrodine's crew. They save him, and they're like, yo, bro, we got you. Don't worry. We got the Sunny. We're taking care of it. But hey, why were you down there? And Luffy cannot lie. He gets a face struck with shock and just, and they're like, don't worry about it, bro. I'm sure you were just taken back by how crazy it was. And Luffy's like, yeah, you're right. We then cut to Road, where we see Rhodes doing his perviness, trying to keep Nami for himself. Zoro, Sanji, and Usopp set a trap, It strikes Road, and then all of a sudden we see Goldberg and Gerd and Luffy are like, whoa, that's Road, and they fucking lay into Rodo, called him a freak, and he got beat the hell up. And Zoro's like, I guess we didn't go far enough. And basically, they introduce themselves to the Straw Hats. They're Hyrudine's friends, and we're gonna escort you personally here to get into Elbaph. And everybody's like, yeah, can't wait to see it, hype. And basically, the Gerd tells him you can get on some clouds, and these clouds will take you to the top, kind of like flying Nimbus, where you can ride these clouds, and it'll get you to where you need to be. And as they're riding the clouds, they see the other Straw Hats on the rainbow, and they're like, what the fuck, how can y'all be there? But before we even get to that, we get a spread page of Elbaph and how it looks beautiful. We'll discuss that some more. Usopp starts crying about how beautiful it is, and him and Luffy share a moment because they promised themselves that they would get there, and Luffy came through on his promise to Usopp. All the other Straw Hats are looking at it in amazement, as they should. And then they are like, hey, we're all together, blah, blah, blah. And then, like I said, Usopp, Luffy, and Chopper are freaking out because they're riding on a rainbow. And then we get this cool quote from the philosopher and explorer of the One Piece world, Louis Arnault. And as he's giving this quote, we see a man in silhouette walking, who was the man in silhouette at the beginning of this chapter. And people are thinking that this was the man that was sitting and drinking with Crocus, but that's too far. Versen, where should we begin, brother? In the beginning?
Yeah, I'd say take it from the top.
All right. How'd you feel about the cover story? Because me and you have been paying attention to this. We think something's going to come from this. Do you think it's interesting that they're going to the Udon prison? Are we going to see remnants of the Kaido crew? Maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, that's the most likely suspect on who stole the sword. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, probably like it could either be someone intimidating, but I think it'll probably be someone funny at this point.
Oh, okay. You don't think it's going to be a serious person to fight Yamato, which makes sense.
Well, I think it's going to be funny, and then at the last part of it, it's going to be like, oh, okay, that wasn't the big boss, actually.
Here's King or Queen.
Yeah. Here's King, Queen, or a Blackbeard crew member or something, like laying in the cut to be like, okay, cool, thanks for beating the fuck out of that dude. Yoink, I'm out.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. Well, we didn't start. Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say it feels very it is building up to like a classic Japanese like action movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, like, oh man, now we gotta invade the old castle, the old daimyo, and there's like some vague Yakuza shit going on because it's kind of like an old versus new kind of mix.
Who's hiding out here from the old regime? Like Yamato is the classic like hitman from Momo. He has to go take out everybody that's in his sights, and I'm excited for it. Speed as well. Speed, wondering if she's still being controlled by Tama or if this is her choice. I'm very interested in that portion of it and what's going on in Wano because we spent a lot of time there. But all right, where do you want to begin?
Someone a full pardon will often make them like you.
Yeah, true. Where do you want to begin? Do you want to start with them getting on the rainbow and Hyrule talking, or you want to start with the little kid? I mean, like he was hype about Shanks. He's just like an extra.
Yeah. Let me ask, do you think this is the kid for the arc?
That's a good point.
A lot of arcs give us a little munchkin running around.
Yeah, I actually think you're right because think about it like this:
and they have to be native.
This kid is native to Elbaph, like you said. He mirrors Luffy in the sense that him and Shanks have a rapport, and like he feels that he's a part of Shanks's crew, how Luffy did back then. I actually do think this will be the kid. This is like Luffy looking at himself, how he's grown. Like, honestly, this kid will be the perfect person to show if Luffy lived up to the promise of Shanks of becoming the type of pirate that he told Shanks he would be, which could show that after this, with meeting this kid, it's time for the meeting. You know what I'm saying? Like, this kid could be like the goalpost checker.
I will also say on top of that, we had another like version of this where we hung out with Pedro, and he was kind of that kid for Gold Roger, but like it just didn't work out. Roger's like he's a little too young, and by the time that I would feel comfortable having you on my ship, I don't think I'm probably
I don't think I'm gonna be alive.
Yeah, well, dude. So you're gonna be the bridge generation between the dawn, the night and the dawn.
Yeah, don't worry, you're gonna be needed at some point. The guy who is replacing me, you're gonna have to help. essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And Pedro did, man. Like, people don't give Pedro enough credit. To your point, that was a great point, Versen. Like, Pedro, it wasn't time. Just like there, like how with Roger, when he got to Laughtail, he was like, "Oh, we're too early. It's not us that we're waiting for." I think that's very interesting.
And let me do this. I think I can maybe, and I might be bullshitting. I think I can see a link here between this shot of Elbaph and the very last page that we have, where it warns you not to stay too long.
Oh,
I
okay.
think right now, Elbaph, and we see it throughout the chapter, is beautiful. It's amazing. It's this land of fables. But we have to keep in mind, all fables have a dark twist to it to teach you a
True.
fucking lesson.
True.
I think this kid, remember, he lives in the underworld. He doesn't live up top. He lives
Oh
way down
yeah, he
there.
does.
I think if anyone's going to show us the underlying disparity of giants, which
It's
we also
him.
see kind of through the middle with like Roto, everyone calls him a freak or whatever, but also Gerd also is kind of weird about humans, but in a positive quote unquote way, but in also a
Mm-hmm.
very demeaning way. I think these tent poles are being set up to show us the underlying weirdness of giant society that up until this entire story, we've got the idea that giants are the most honorable, coolest, baddest, big dick motherfuckers, which don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, they could be all of that. But as we
But there's
know,
got to be a
society,
problem. Yeah.
especially warrior societies, they don't have really good culture when it comes to people who don't fit that certain mold. And I
Mm-hmm.
think this child might help guide us through that, you
That's
know.
a good call. I like that. That's a damn good call. Placing bets early, because you're right. Every community we've gone to, they've all had an underlying problem. And even though we've known the Giants the longest, even though, like you said, we know they're honorable, we know they're a warrior class, there's going to be some sort of problem there because Loki is chained up. Why is Loki chained up? Why is Roto treated a certain way? Like, why does this kid have to live at the bottom? Why are we separating, the heaven, the sun, and the underworld? Who lives in
Yeah,
the heaven?
I
Like,
was gonna
is the
say,
heaven
especially
a
we
high
don't even know what the
class?
astral's about, you know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also, we have to keep in mind, and I'm saying this because obviously Fisherman Island is getting reproduced, which is nice. It needed it. And also, I was getting into that with my partner, a few weeks ago. Fisherman Island also looked fucking great and pretty easy breezy whenever we first got there too. Big, beautiful
Mm-hmm.
colors, hanging out with the mermaids. Everyone was having a good time. No one was really mad at Luffy yet.
They
And
had
then it's
deep
like, oh, by the way,
issues.
there's a slum. There's
Yeah.
a giant ass slum that we just don't really address.
A
You know?
ghetto that we don't talk about, and those fishermen feel betrayed by other fishermen. That's a fact. That might be something that is here and very interesting. Like you said, they separated it, Elbaph, into these three levels of the underworld. You have the sun, and then you have the sun's the second level, and then you have the third level, which is heaven, I believe they called it.
Yeah, heaven also like not to be whatever, but like I don't know, man. Like the fact that they have these weird like rainbow geodes that are cool, which I think might be the dollars for this arc. But the fact that you can even have the option to just use one of those and not fuck with the underworld at all, you can just go straight to the sun. Like,
Yeah.
because at least if you like, I don't know, for those who don't know, like at least if you live in a border town, you get the commerce of people having to go through it
Mm-hmm.
and then like going over. Now it's like, oh yeah, we kind of low key
We just
invented like a
escape.
very small plane travel. So now if we
Mm-hmm.
don't want to go to the underworld or whatever, we don't have to go there at all.
We don't have to
Period.
see it.
Yeah,
Out of
we can
sight,
just do
out
our
of
own
mind.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go there to hunt the weird beast, and that's it.
How did you feel about the rainbow? Because I was with the Straw Hats. Like,
It's cool.
they were like, bro, how the fuck is this happening? Like, and the Giants are just like, oh, you can ride on rainbows. And they're like, nah, dog, something else. And they're like, I 100% was the Straw Hats in this moment, especially Frankie. And Frankie was like, bro, you can't just say, oh, you can ride
Like
on
for
rainbows.
real.
Yeah, like, how are you actually doing it? And we really didn't get an explanation, which is
I
like,
I
okay.
think I think it's a really good thing to show, like, especially after Egghead, where we did like try to explain
A
some of
lot
the
of science,
mythical
yeah.
lore. Yeah, like I mean, we got to keep in
This is the
mind
land of fables.
the one
Mm-hmm.
who's most freaking out about it is our sweet little gal Jory Bonnie, because she grew up in science labs all her life. She understands at least somewhat Kizer's power, and her own power works based on what she knows about like an
Mm-hmm.
ability for a future versus what she can believe in. So I think that'll also be like a good contrast. Like how much of what happens in Elbaph is just vibes because it's
Yeah.
basically magic, and how
Mm-hmm.
much of that is there is someone who knows how these
Science
things
or
work on a scientific level, but they don't want to educate anyone.
yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Again, Versen, you're batting 5 for 5 right now with this next one. I agree with you. Another point, like I said, 5 for 5, you're killing it. I agree. Like coming from the science aspect of One Piece, where everything was explained. Shit, they tried to explain devil fruits. I feel like you're right. This will be imaginary land where it's like magic. We don't know. Shit just happens here, and honestly, this could be like this is me shooting from half court like you did with the little kid. This could be a way to show that magic does exist in this world to get us to Eam. You know what I'm saying? Because Eam, we're like, is it a devil fruit or does he run on magic? And this could be the last remnants of quote unquote the good magic compared to Eam's evil magic, or just magic in general, not putting a connotation to it. It could just be this is the last remnants of magic in the One Piece world, and this is the power of old, honestly.
Yeah, back when the entire world was maybe a more magical place pre-flood,
Mm-hmm.
And also, for me for a long time, I've always said I don't necessarily super like how we like have things divided up into devil fruits or just hockey.
You
Science has
did.
slowly trickled its way in there as being a third pillar. We still have things that you cannot explain as any one of those three things. It might not be a full like equal sliver to the rest of them, but some sort of magic might be the last sliver, and we have a much more even like four categorization thing than we do like the two kind of three thing that we have now, which I think would fit better. Because like there are powers that we know that you just straight up can't explain, like Miss Golden Week's powers. Like
Yeah.
it's like a big fucked up version of hypnosis or whatever, but it doesn't seem to care how strong you are. It just works.
Diablo Jambe, fucking Zoro's shit, getting the fucking
Yeah, we
Asura.
have no reason for him to get three heads, but he does.
Yeah, and why the fuck did Sanji put fire on his leg? Like, I know he has the germa cells, but that still doesn't explain that shit. Like, he doesn't have
Mhm.
the Niji cells, and Niji doesn't make fire. He makes like this red laser that's hot like fire. So, like, how the fuck does that happen? No, you're absolutely right. Man, that.
Also,
Oh, go ahead.
not well. Lastly, not to push an agenda. You know what character I think would actually be perfect for that? Not me a little bit, but Usopp, who walks the
Oh
line
yeah,
between
you're
being a
definitely pushing your
liar
agenda.
and a liar and a fairy tale man, but also he does know at least a little bit of science. He's like right between the two. He's not full on Frankie, but he knows shit, and he's
I mean,
like
look, if that's the case, he needs it to be able to beat a guy like Van Auger without having a double fruit or hockey. That would be, I mean, he has observation, but
mhm.
and the listeners know what I mean by that. Getting observation to code some of his things or doing other things with hockey. If he doesn't end up getting it in this arc, that would be a good way to equal out for him to actually defeat a guy like Van Auger. Is he taps into the power of old of the giants in the Void
Legends.
Century, which is fucking magic, which would be crazy, but it fits his character. I do think you're pushing that agenda, but I do agree with you. Like I said, you're now batting 6 for 6. You're on fire. I agree. That would be a good thing
It,
for Usopp for sure.
I think it would also like help kind of like show little things with what we were dealing with Elbaph, because like rather with Egghead, because it would also make sense to me like why some of the technology we need from Egghead takes so long to develop is because you guys had to take a long time to like figure it out from a scientific point of view, whenever other cultures or other places in the world
Just
just
have
kind of had
magic.
magic and could just
Mm-hmm.
bullshit it a little bit, you
Yeah,
know?
for sure.
So like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you can't reproduce that same effect with science in this world. It just takes way fucking longer because you have to make it make sense in your head.
That's what it seems
You know?
like, but we will find out definitely in this chapter. Gotta say, the spread where Luffy and Usopp are
Mhm.
on the cloud, and we just see Elbaph. First thing I gotta say about this, bravo to Oda for hiding the whole view of Elbaph in Big Mom's backstory, because we basically just see the little huts in just that forest area, which was beautiful thinking by Oda, because now we see the scaled out perspective, and it makes sense because Big Mom was a kid at that point, because if she was an adult we would have had no choice but to see the scaled out version, but because she was smaller, we got to see that version that we saw. But man, this is a moment that touches the soul, seeing Luffy hug his guy Usopp and just being like, I told you, buddy, I was gonna bring you here. This is basically Luffy helping the Straw Hats, the first Straw Hat, accomplish his dream, essentially, And I know his dream is to be a brave warrior of the sea, but Usopp has already done that. This was a goal of his, is to get to Elbaph. We see the tears, and it just feels good that Luffy as a captain was able to keep his promise to his crewmate and being like, Usopp, I told you we were going to get here, and we got you here, brother. How does it feel? And that was just beautiful.
Yeah, it's a real, I used to dream at times like the situation,
Yeah.
like, we finally did it. We were on the come up. We did it. And, especially obviously for Usopp, who I don't think anyone still holds it against her or whatever, but we can't deny Water 7, first crewmate who had actual beef with Luffy, because what you can say whatever you want about Whiskey Peak and Luffy and Zoro sparring, who cares? Wasn't actually anything, and they quickly resolved it. But with actual like differences with Luffy and the crew or whatever, and the fact that it's like, yeah, man, I'm so glad we were to do that on the
And
most
we're
important
here,
arc that
man.
has ever happened. And look, it took us a long time, it took us a while, but like you've grown, I've grown, and we did it.
Sorry about the little bit of technical difficulties, but we're back. But yeah, man, no, I agree with you 100%. Everything you said about that Usopp Luffy moment, I thought that was one of the best. Not one of. That is the best moment of the chapter, and one of the best moments for a character that we've had in One Piece in a minute. Because a lot of things have been just very high paced, high action, very much so. The overview of the story, the forest. This is the first time we got the trees in a minute in the zeroing in on the Straw Hats themselves.
Yeah, I think especially if I'm being, to tie it back with the instruction of the child, I think now we can like breathe easy. Strat crew mostly together again. We had a little bit of fun at the start of this arc or whatever, but now we're going to get into the nitty gritty of it. Doesn't mean that we're not going to have split ups later or whatever, but now we can sit down and we can be like, all right, let's meet the child, let's talk to the people, and let's figure out what's going on in Elbaph. Let's figure out what we're actually trying to do here other than just have vibes. And don't get me wrong, the vibes this chapter, immaculate. But I am curious about what we're actually trying to do.
What's the purpose? Yeah, like are we here to train? Are we here to do party? Are we here to help the citizens? Like, what are we here to do? Also, what's Luffy's promise to Loki? Do you think he's going to free him? That's another important part of this chapter.
I think he will eventually free him, yeah. But I am very curious because like that Luffy face, I think, is so telling.
It was weird.
He doesn't really get like that.
No,
ever,
never.
Especially,
he's never scared of someone, like Luffy has stood toe to toe with Kaido. Like Luffy has stood toe to toe with Akainu. Luffy has stood toe to toe with the strongest beings of this, the Gorosei, the scariest things in the world. And he's never had that face looking at them. But now thinking that, he's going to tell these giants that, hey, I might let this guy free. Now he's scared? What?
And not only that, but it's also like Luffy never really,
lies.
He doesn't feel the need to lie, and when he does, he's bad about it. And he's bad about it here too, but like the fact that no one obviously pressed him on it, I'm like, this is the first time we've started an arc, I think, or at least the one that I can currently remember, where Luffy's had to like hold something in and not be, because I don't know if he's going to tell the Straw Hats immediately either. Not that he's going to lie to him, but
he might be like, keep it to himself,
whatever.
Or there may not be a chance for him to say it right now. You know what I'm saying? Like it might just be they keep going into Elbaph learning things, and then like once they get a moment of breath, or when eventually they tell the Straw Hats the story of Loki, then Luffy will be like, oh, hey guys, I kind of promised this guy to let him free.
Yeah, because Luffy, one, stands by his promises and helps people when they ask for it. That's the thing that I feel people downplay about his character. And another thing about it too, though, obviously it was also reference to a lot of stuff he talked about Shanks.
And Luffy can judge gave him the deal character. Like, I don't think if Luffy thought this guy was a bad dude, I don't think he'd help him. Like, even when he learns the backstory, I think he's gonna press and be like, I don't know if it's if they're telling us 100% the truth, or if they know the 100% the truth.
And I think it also goes to show, like we said, the don't overstay your welcome. Well, the longer Luffy stays, the more he's going to feel tension blurted out.
Yeah,
and like
true.
Luffy's pretty good whenever it comes to like not saying shit that doesn't need to be talked about, like how he literally told no one until he was on a ship with Ivankov about Dragon being his dad, and how he didn't tell anyone Garp was his grandpa until Garp, because Luffy literally was like, well, it didn't fucking come up. Why would I bring it up unprompted? But this, I think, is the first time where he's like, oh, it is coming up, and I'm still gonna keep my fucking trap shut.
Yeah, facts. And back to what we talked about a couple weeks ago about this being called Warland. I think the Luis Arnault quote, the fact that this is Elbaph, the kingdom of Warland. That is important. Back to what you said about the kid and being the disparity of like, what's the problem here? Are they too war focused? Are they too bloodthirsty? How they separated all these things. It's going to be very interesting to see the way it is. But back to the quote, but most simplify the matter by just using the name Elbaph for the land of the giants. Plants, trees, vines, flowers, insects, fish, birds, and animals. Everything is breathtakingly huge. Adventurers, do not regret your lost time here. However, if there is one message you take away from my account of the gigantic and mystical land of Elbaph, let it be this word of warning. Do not overstay your welcome here. There's something here. There's issues here. And I don't think I think Oda is brilliant by putting the silhouetted man walking through this while giving the quote. I think the silhouetted man doesn't necessarily play into the problems of Elbaph at a whole. They're systemic. They've been happening for a long time. He is probably someone that's just there extra. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't feel like he is the true problem of what's going on in Elbaph. I feel like that's beyond who this person is.
Exactly. Like, and again, we got to keep in mind, Saul currently not feeling great.
Yeah,
we
true.
Don't worry anything about Saul. American Flames thing. Like, there is little, like, main question or whatever. And I think some people, especially out of world, meta here, because we were on a break or whatever, I think people have like kind of forgotten, like, there's some shit going on, and there's somebody might be doing some funky shit, and like it clearly can't just be Loki, because we know where he is. Not to say that he can't have like his people out doing stuff, but like it's very possible, as I think we've both been saying, that there's a third party here who's causing some shit to go down.
Who's doing some fuck shit? Like, who is the crocodile, the Doflamingo, the guy behind the shadows pulling the strings that's causing the Giants problems that even Dorian Broggy don't know about, that Hyrodine doesn't know about? The only person I think will know is Loki.
Also, let's keep it being speculation time. They say don't overstay your welcome. They say it's a good time here. Everything's cool. It's like, for an adventure, it's like the best place, basically, or at least one of them. They say not to overstay your welcome, and there's a reason why Shanks only went to the underworld.
Stays a little bit, yeah.
Stayed on the beach, hung out, left, drank up, and then was like, "All right, it is time."
That's a good point. Like, man, even Shanks, the strongest guy we know, was like, yeah, I'm here for like 5 minutes and then I'm dipping, dog.
Yeah, he's like, look, I do layovers in Elbaph. I don't plan vacations in Elbaph.
And I think
did whenever I was young, and I ain't doing it again.
Yeah, and I feel like Luffy's gonna learn that lesson that Shanks probably learned the first time he was there. And unlike Luffy, Shanks is not the type of guy that, like, presses matters that aren't necessarily pertaining to him or his friends.
He's like, this ain't my role.
Yeah, it's not his job to free everyone. Whereas with Luffy, well, if that kid tells him he's hungry and Luffy likes that kid, well, look, he's gonna free him. And if he sees Loki down bad, and if he became friends with Loki, he's gonna help him.
And that will also, we saw Harding repair the chapter, obviously, and then that might be a little conflict where it's like, Harding, I like you, you're part of my grand fleet that I don't really care about, but does mean you are my friend.
But you don't know what's going on here.
What's up with all that? Yeah, like, you've been away for a minute.
Just like he had to do with Vivi at in Alabasta, where he was like, we gotta kill sometimes, Vivi. That's what war is. Like, you gotta see the dark side of this, because you played a part, whether or not you like to admit it or not. So, or your family did.
I also do think, again, not sympathy for the devil here, I suppose. Not that sympathetic to Roto. But again,
Roto,
listen, again, Weird Giants, the fact that, he's obviously getting clowned on, and the fact that his crew beat him fucking bloody.
Yeah, bust his ass, bro, with an axe and a fucking kanabo.
And I'm not saying he don't deserve it. I'm just saying the fact that they feel comfortable, they see him, bent over with a log on his arms, and the first thing they're like, oh yeah, we gotta beat the fuck out of him. It's beat up Roto o'clock, Like, I don't know, Nami's pretty careless with her violence or whatever, but like, she usually has a reason to get amped up and smack Luffy or whatever, whereas this is just unprompted. Well,
I mean, they did. I'm gonna give Gerd and Goldberg some defense. He did capture the Straw Hats when he knew that they were friends of Hyrodine, and Hyrodine wanted them, and he wasn't going to tell Hyrodine, and he was being pervy to Nami. So get your ass beat, Roto.
I mean, yeah, I do get that. Again, I'm not fully whatever, but like these two seem to go on to get along. And let's not, before they saw Luffy, they were saying some weird stuff about humans.
They were.
They switched up. The Honorable Warriors of Elbaph switched up on us in between then and there. And also, I don't know, like Gerd, she her own little type of freak when it comes to little humans. But don't get me wrong, me personally, I'd probably say in Elbaph regardless of
yeah, you overstay your welcome.
Yeah, damn. Overstay my welcome because I ran out of money and now they're kicking me out.
Yeah, Louis Arnaud, man, you wouldn't manage. You'd overstay your welcome. Anything else from this chapter you want to discuss? I think we covered a lot of the major points, though, I will say.
We touched on it. I'm very curious to see how like the little like the prisms basically that they have.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how that and some other like Elbaph tech develops. And I'm like, again, they don't, at least Skypiea gave us exploration dials. These seem to be vibes, which I'll also say leads me to wonder, are like, because dials seem like they're mostly like a forgotten technology, but the Skypieans can still like make them kind of, just maybe not a lot. I'm wondering if the people of Elbaph even know how to replace these things that they make outside of like houses and building ships or whatever. But like some of the more magical shit,
probably can't.
They might be like, yeah, they might be like, man, each one of these is very valuable because we actually kind of forgot how to make a new one. You know?
Or we don't know how to. Yeah, it got lost
exactly.
to history. No, 100%. Very interested to see what happens, but we are in Elbaph proper. I could see us dipping from Elbaph next chapter and going somewhere else, but I could also see us just continuing the Elbaph story. Right now, we haven't had an arc like this in a while, so I'm very excited to see what is next, but no break, and we will be back with another review next week. V-Man, tell the people where they can follow you at on social media.
By the way, to your last point, I also want to say this is our last confirmed, our last for sure we know confirmed go to a country and fix this problem art. Maybe we'll get it with Lodestar, maybe we'll get it with, Laugh Tale itself, but we can't guarantee that.
Yeah, so, none of that. No, this might be the last. To your point, this is the last island confirmed that we know. Like, hey, we're gonna be here for a long time. So we shall see.
Yeah, looking forward to it, man. I'm really excited. Just in time for Christmas, Oda.
Facts.
But yeah, so you can find me at Versen also pretty much anywhere. You can find me at Josh Tusker pretty much anywhere. My little dog just opened my door. Letting me know it's time for dinner.
Perfect timing.
You can find me on Twitter or Bluesky. I am trying to use Bluesky a little bit more, although I've heard a couple things about it that I'm kind of like, I don't know if you're gonna be the perfect replacement either. Not too big, but
okay.
But yeah, I don't know. Also, hit me up. Cool things coming in store, although it should be mostly a buttoned up chill month. But if you guys want to hit me up in DMs or whatever, my family sells holiday spreads and fruitcakes and all this other good stuff and whatever. So if you and your family want some good sweet treats for the holiday season, I'll mail it to you if you're there. If you're in Louisiana, I'll drive it to you. Might have a little delivery fee. And you know what? It doesn't hurt my feelings at all. You can lie to your family and say you made it yourself. That's fine.
Hell yeah. Y'all make sure y'all hit him first, and I'll have his links in the description. You can follow me on Twitter at LynBWT. Follow BrosWhoThink on Twitter at BrosWhoThink. You can follow us on Bluesky at lynbwt.bsky.social or at broswhothink.bsky.social on Bluesky. Make sure you check out all of our amazing content on YouTube. We got a lot of great stuff out and a lot of good stuff coming out this week. The Perfect Hip Hop album draft will finally be out. Monday, we'll have the manga Melee draft that they conducted with Versen, Jay, Pete from What Do You Say Anime, and Miles from What Do You Say Anime. That'll be a great episode coming out later this week. Also, Bros Who Binge will be back this week as well, post Thanksgiving, and run it back. If you haven't checked out the latest episode that Doms and I did, we reviewed Tropic Thunder and talked about does Tropic Thunder stand up in 2024 with all of the comedy and the things that they chose. That's a very good episode. The next movie we are doing is 28 Days Later, the Cillian Murphy horror action classic. That'll be out later this week. So just make sure you follow us to stay up to date with everything. Until next time, for Versen, my name is Lyn, and you guys have a good one, and peace.